we talk about zoning, we're talking about selling comfort, because our customers might not necessarily need the comfort, but they want to be comfortable. We want to be comfortable in our homes. Our customers want to be comfortable in their homes. And zoning is a great way of evening out that comfort in the house with our single central system. So if we have an existing forced air system, we have existing ductwork, we can further optimize that by zoning it, and we can enhance our comfort significantly through zoning. But when we look at zoning and we're looking at talking to our customers about it, we really need to get to know our customers. And the best way to get to know the customers is a technician that's been in that door year after year doing the maintenance checkups. We should be willing to have those conversations with the customer to really get to know them, to get to know what it is they're looking for, the problem spots in their home. And then as we have those conversations with the customer, they're going to tell us what they want. We just have to be listening for it, and we have to identify those opportunities. And as we get to know our customers, that makes it a lot easier for us to start offering improvements to their home for energy efficiency, improved comfort, indoor air quality, air cleaners, UV lights, things like that. Zoning is a comfort improvement, but it also saves energy when we're not conditioning the entire home as a whole. We start to break it down and condition the places that need to be conditioned at that present time. So identifying opportunities, problem areas would be load diversity. The sun rises on one side of the home, it sets on the other side of the home. As that sun moves around the house, that load shifts. We got remote zones. Bonus rooms over garage are very popular with a lot of homes today. And a lot of times the ductwork's run there, but the ductwork isn't finished. It's just run into that area, it's capped off. And then oftentimes the equipment itself isn't sized to handle that additional load. So if we have a remote zone like that, we don't necessarily have to replace the equipment to upsize it for that area. We can zone that off. And as we direct the BTUs from other parts of the home that don't necessarily need it, we can effectively condition those areas that are in remote locations. Usage patterns. How are they using the home? Do they have a home office? Do they work from home? Right now, a lot of people are doing that, and that's an opportunity for us as well. And then conditioning requirements. My wife likes it hot. I like it cold. So that's something that the two of us can have our areas where we can condition them to where we're comfortable temperature-wise, and that works better for us and helps us stop those thermostat wars in the home. And then hot and cold spots. How often do we walk into a home where it's 5, 8, 10 degrees hotter upstairs than it is on the main floor of the home? The thermostat's on the main floor, but the master suite's upstairs or the bedrooms are upstairs, and the customer is complaining that they have to set their thermostat on the main floor at 65 degrees so they can sleep comfortably on the second floor. Those are all opportunities for zoning, and it's a very effective solution if they have an existing forced air system with ductwork. Then inefficiencies in the system. A lot of times ductwork's not really designed to distribute the airflow properly anymore. So a little extra control to direct that air where it needs to be goes a long way to improving an efficient system. Now, with that being said, there still has to be the ductwork capabilities there. If we don't have the ductwork to serve a zone, zoning's not going to fix that. But if the ductwork's there, zoning can optimize it. So zoning can take a bad ductwork job and make it worse. It can take a marginal duct job and make it good, and then it can take a good duct job and make it fantastic. Those are all things that we can keep in mind when we're looking at those opportunities for zoning. So the questions that we need to get from our customers, and those are questions that the technician that's in their door every year can easily get those answers to, as long as they're willing to have those conversations and show the customer that they're professionals in everything that they're doing. We can get answers to their conditioning problems. We can get answers to how they're using their home. We get answers to whether they're looking to save money on their utility bills. Is energy savings a priority? All these questions are things that can easily be asked, or they can easily be obtained in conversation when we're out there in that door year after year having those conversations with the customers. Now, it's a little bit harder to do that when you're just in there for a sales presentation, but at the same time, getting those questions answered is going to show the customer that you really care about what they want and what they're looking for, as opposed to just being there to sell them a piece of equipment that's all you really want. So as we ask those questions, as we build those relationships, as we dig deeper into what our customers are really looking for, it shows them that we care to take care of their problems, not just take their money. When I take a look at a house like this, I see the opportunity for at least 3 zones. If they have a basement, I see an opportunity for a 4th zone, because we really don't need to condition the basement during the summer months. It's usually going to be damp down there, not so much hot. So basements would need the humidity removed, but they don't necessarily need all that cold air blowing in the basement. But in a house like this, I see it's a red brick house. I see that it's got a lot of roof line, and it looks like it does have a floor and living space in that second floor up there. So that second floor I see is a zone by itself. itself. But being that it's an all brick home, the sun rises on the one side of the home, and as it bakes that brick, that area of the home gets hot. But then as the sun moves around, it continues to bake the brick as it moves around the home. And different areas of the home might experience that thermal gain because of the brick absorbing the heat at different times of the day. And then you come to a home like this where it looks like somebody's had several additions to the house. Now this home probably has multiple furnaces. It's got a lot of different floors. It's got a lot of glass. It looks like it's got a lot of remote zones. A home like this, even if it has multiple furnaces, could very well benefit from a zoning system, conditioning the floors independently, so the main floor and the upstairs. You got a lot of glass exposure in that central part of the home, and that glass is going to be very difficult to condition. So splitting that up into zones would be ideally. And then at the far end of the home there, it looks like we have a remote zone for a bonus area that could very well use its own conditioning, because requirements there are going to be completely different than any other part of the home. There's a lot of different potential for load changes and load shifts in this house, and zoning will be a very effective solution to that if they have an existing central system. So those are all opportunities that we can look just at a street level, but then as we get in that door and start talking to the customer, we can find out where their trouble spots really are, and then we can offer them solutions for those trouble spots. So when we make the recommendations, we also need a group. We need to look at grouping space based on similar usage patterns. So how does the customer use the home? At what time of day do they use this part or that part of the home? And then we break it up for similar usage. So typically you'd have like your living room, great room area, your dining room and kitchen. Those would typically be a group zone. You'd have your bedrooms. Those would typically be a group zone. You have east and west, upstairs and down. Those are opportunities for zoning, but we need to make sure that when we zone those off, we're pairing up areas so that we're not running into the potential for micro zoning. And then we need to choose the number of zones wisely, because we really don't want a micro zone. For that person that wants individual control from every single room in their home, a forced air system isn't a hydronic system. You do have some bottlenecks as far as how you're going to split that up, and you have to make sure you're not going to damage your equipment by taking those zones down too small. So choose a number of zones wisely to provide the most effective coverage for your customer, and then group those zones to have similar usage patterns. Then how do they use the home? So separating frequently and frequently used space. Take note of the ductwork layout, because you need to, if they were to finish parts of the home in the future burying ductwork, you need to know about where you put those dampers so that when you go back in the future, you can get access to them and create a trim panel for it. And then the load diversity. The sun rises on one side, sets on the other. Maybe they have appliances, a server room or something like that in the home that generates a lot of heat. Those are areas that load diversity is going to change significantly, and those are areas that we can look at satisfying and making comfortable. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for multi-level homes. We got those people that complain my upstairs is 5, 8, 10 degrees hotter than my main floor. We got the remote zones with the bonus rooms over the garage. We got those breakfast nooks, things like that are difficult to condition because of the glass exposure. Cathedral ceilings. Zoning improves the velocity and throw from the dampers, which is going to help to de-stratify the air in those larger, taller ceiling areas, because we're forcing it higher into the room. We're mixing it better, and we're better de-stratifying it, improving comfort and feeling throughout that home. And then lots of glass exposure or inadequate ductwork. We can take about 30% of the ductwork, fit about 60% of the airflow through it, delivering about 80% of the BTUs, but we have to be able to actually get the ductwork to there. So maybe they've got a room that's marginal, and we have enough ductwork. If we improve the velocity from our registers, zoning will help with that. But if we don't have adequate ductwork there, maybe they've got one of those Cape Cod colonials that has the lofted area, and they've only got 1 or 2 6-inch runs feeding a 600-700 square foot area. Zoning's not a solution for that. You have to be able to get the ductwork up there to take care of it. But if the ductwork's marginal, to where if we increase the velocity from it, zoning will help with that, and we'll be able to force more air into those areas, delivering more BTUs and effectively condition them. Commercial spaces are also a great application for zoning, because we do have those memes about the office wars, and memes carry that air of truth about them because people made them. It's ha-ha funny, but it's ha-ha funny because it's actually making fun of a real life situation. You've got your retail environments where the sales floor has got a different conditioning requirement than the offices. They have different conditioning requirements than the pharmacies, if there's a pharmacy in there, like the Walgreens you see in the picture. You got your restaurants. The kitchen's different than the dining room room. The dining room's different than the office, and the office is different than the kitchen. Those all have conditioning requirements that can be satisfied individually to improve the comfort for the occupants, the workers, and as well as the customers. And then you got your office space, so you're more commercial. How often do we have a situation where people that are on the glass exposure complaining it's too hot in the summer month, people in the center of the office or the without the glass exposure, they're complaining that it's too cold. You can split those offices up, give them probably 4 or 5 different zones of control, 2 areas in the glass, so north and south or east and west in the glass area, and then in the central part you can split it up to give them 2 zones as well, east and west, or however you have that conversation with your customer and determine what's going to best satisfy their needs. Those are all doable. Those are all easily achieved. It's just conversations that we have to determine what it is our customers are looking for. So once we take a look at all that and we start to talk to the customer about zoning and how we can optimize the comfort in their buildings, why do we want Arzel? Arzel takes less time to install. The ductwork's pre-existing. We have some very easy cut-in dampers. There's very little electrical wiring to it. You just have your thermostats and your panel to your equipment control, but it's very fast and easy to install. The air tubing is simple to pull and install. It's very fast to cut and just slide on the dampers. It's an extremely reliable product. We have our lifetime warranty, so if anything were to fail, those dampers were to fail, the panel, anything inside there were to fail, as long as it's registered within 90 days of installation, there's a lifetime parts warranty on it to the original owner. And Arzel stands behind that, and we stand behind that because we have a good quality control process. We have a good warranty process to ensure that diagnoses are happening effectively, that you're getting the proper diagnosis done the first time, and we're not having to replace things that aren't bad. So all we ask is that technicians give us a call while they're on site. We'll walk them through some diagnosis, verify it as a failure of the Arzel component, and if it is, it's really no hassle. We give them an RMA and we ship the part directly to the contractors. We also have a comfort guarantee, so we're so confident that this is going to make your customer more comfortable that if your customer is dissatisfied within the first year of operation, that zoning system's been designed and installed correctly, we'll buy it back. So we'll buy back all that equipment, the panel, the dampers, the tubing, if your customer is dissatisfied within the first year of operation, as long as it was designed and installed correctly.
I have a question.
Yes.
You were saying, like, I had a system like 2 years ago that he wasn't getting enough of cooling in the attic area, and you said if we try to troubleshoot with the zoning, we could probably correct that, even if the ductwork was a little off, you're saying?
As long as you got adequate ductwork with increased velocity to deliver the BTUs, their zoning will help.
All right, that's good to know in the future. Thanks for that.
Because when you zone it off, you're going to increase your static pressure, you're going to increase your velocity, and that's going to push more BTUs into those zones. So you're going to have colder air for the summer months, you're going to have hotter air for the winter months, and that'll help with some of those conditioning problems as long as there is adequate ductwork to deliver the BTUs there.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
As far as Stan's question goes, yes, all of our zoning is pneumatic. It's low pressure pneumatics, so inches of water column. The dampers open at negative 35 inches or better. They close at positive 40 inches or better. So it's low pressure pneumatics. The pump is built into all of our panels, so you don't have to worry about that. And each pump in our panels can handle up to 35 actuators per system. We do have some compatibility with a few communicating systems out there. So Stan's question was, can it be somehow paired with a Lennox communicating system? Yes, we do have an interface panel that works with OEM controls as long as they allow for legacy damper outputs. So the 2-wire damper output, power open, spring close, or spring close, power open, we can interface with that OEM zone panel and give you the ease of installing the Arzel dampers for that application. Yes, Stan, you can use it with the Lennox Harmony system, but you will have to use the Lennox Harmony zoning panel and then the Arzel dampers. We have an interface that will allow you to piggyback off of their damper outputs to control the Arzel dampers. The ones I know for sure that we aren't compatible with are going to be Train American Standard, Carrier Bryant, and then I recently heard that the Johnson Control products, so the Luxair York Coleman line, their OEM zone panel is going to rewire damper output only, and they're going to drop the legacy controls. So those manufacturers we won't be able to interface with, but the Lennox and Armstrong brands, they still offer the legacy outputs on their zone control. Amana, Daikin, Goodman, they still offer the legacy outputs. The Rheem Rude, they still offer the legacy outputs, so we can interface with those manufacturers. All right, well, if there are no more questions, I thank you all for attending. Let us know how best we can help you out, and please feel free to reach out to us anytime, 800-611-8312. You have a good day.